From the PEP Radio Newsroom, this is the afternoon news for September 26, 2025, and these are the stories we are reporting at this hour. Encircled by critics and protesters at the United Nations, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told fellow world leaders on Friday that his nation must finish the job against Hamas in Gaza, giving a defiant speech despite growing international isolation over his refusal to end the devastating war. Western leaders may have buckled under the pressure, he said, and I guarantee you one thing, Israel won't. Netanyahu's speech, aimed as much at his increasingly divided domestic audience as the global one, began after dozens of delegates from multiple nations walked out of the UN General Assembly en masse Friday as he began. Responding to countries' recent decisions to recognize Palestinian statehood, Netanyahu said, "Your disgraceful decision will encourage terrorism against Jews and against innocent people everywhere." Netanyahu's annual speech to the UN General Assembly is always closely watched, often protested, reliably emphatic, and sometimes a venue for dramatic allegations. But this time the stakes were higher than ever for the Israeli leader. In recent days, Australia, Canada, France, the United Kingdom, and others announced their recognition of an independent Palestinian state. The European Union is considering tariffs and sanctions on Israel. The Assembly this month passed a non-binding resolution urging Israel to commit to an independent Palestinian nation, which Netanyahu has said is a non-starter. The International Criminal Court has issued an arrest warrant accusing Netanyahu of crimes against humanity, which he denies. And the UN's highest court is weighing South Africa's allegation that Israel has committed genocide in Gaza, which it vehemently refutes. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has announced that he has decided that the 20 soldiers who received the Medal of Honor for their actions in 1890 at Wounded Knee will keep their awards in a video posted to social media Thursday evening. Hegseth's predecessor, Lloyd Austin, ordered the review of the awards in 2024 after a congressional recommendation in the 2022 defense bill, itself a reflection of efforts by some lawmakers to rescind the awards for those who participated in the bloody massacre on South Dakota's Pine Ridge Indian Reservation near Wounded Knee Creek. While the events of that day are sometimes described as a battle, historical records show that the U.S. Army, which fought a campaign to repress the tribes in the area, killed an estimated 250 Native Americans, including women and children of the Lakota Sioux tribe, while attempting to disarm Native American fighters who had already surrendered at their camp. "We're making it clear that the soldiers deserve those medals," Hegseth said in the video, before adding that their place in our nation's history is no longer up for debate. After the fighting, medals of honor were given to 20 soldiers from the 7th Cavalry Regiment, which and their awards cite a range of actions, including bravery, efforts to rescue fellow troops, and actions to dislodge Sioux Indians who were concealed in a ravine. The event also became a celebrated part of the regiment's history, with their coat of arms still featuring the head of a Native American chief to commemorate Indian campaigns, according to the military's Institute of Heraldry. In other news, Senate Majority Leader John Thune has rejected Democratic health care demands. In fact, he's rejecting Democratic demands as unserious, but says a government shutdown is still avoidable despite sharp divisions ahead of Wednesday's funding deadline. "I'm a big believer that there's always a way out," the South Dakota Republican said in an interview with the Associated Press on Thursday. "And I think there are off-ramps here, but I don't think that the negotiating position, at least at the moment, that the Democrats are trying to exert here is going to get you there." Thune said Democrats are going to have to dial back their demands, which include immediately extending health insurance subsidies and reversing the health care policies in the massive tax bill that Republicans passed over the summer. Absent that, Thune said, we are probably plunging forward to the shutdown. It's just the latest standoff in Washington over government funding stretching back through several administrations. President Donald Trump was a driving force behind the longest shutdown ever during his first term as he sought money for a U.S.-Mexico border wall. This time it is Democrats who are making demands as they face intense pressure from their core supporters to stand up to the Republican president and his policies. Democrats have shown little signs of relenting just before spending runs out on Wednesday. Their position remained the same even after the White House Office of Management and Budget on Wednesday released a memo that said agencies should consider a reduction in force for many federal programs if the government closes, meaning thousands of federal workers could be permanently laid off. Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer of New York said the OMB memo was simply an attempt at intimidation and predicted the unnecessary firings will either be overturned in court or the administration will end up hiring the workers back. That's the news at this hour. If you are watching our news videos on YouTube, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. Stand with Pride Season 4 begins Saturday at 11 a.m. We hope you will tune in for a recap of all this week's major news stories. Up next, we have the Meadville area weather forecast here on PEP Radio.